Senate Bill 1811 has been through a lot of trauma, as you can tell from the members who have raised points of order. But I want to talk about something else. And that is this, is that one of the principles that people get mad at us about is the fact that we don't live, or sometimes we don't want to live, under the same laws and rules that we project on them. Let me tell you what that has to do with Senate Bill 11. If a parent decided, who had a court order that they were supposed to pay child support to their children, to their child, and they said, well, I'm not going to pay it because I lost my job, but I got $6,000 in the bank over here, but I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to touch my $6,000 in the bank. And I'm going to show up in court and I'm going to explain to the judge that, well, wait a minute, judge, I lost my job, I can't pay the rest of it, but I got $6,000 in the bank, but I'm waiting for an emergency. I'm waiting for really a rainfall to occur. Do you know what the judge would say to that person, to that parent? You must be out of your mind. In fact, that's what most people will probably think about us. When you go home and you vote for this bill and you cut public education by $4 billion and you tell them, but we had $6 billion in the bank. And yet I cut $4 billion out of public education. Well, members, most of you weren't here for Edgewood 1. Some of you were here for, like me, you've been here for Edgewood 2 and Edgewood 3. But today what you're voting for is Edgewood 4. I guarantee it. Because if you'll go back and read the opinion, which I have on several occasions in Edgewood 3, we're doing exactly what the courts admonished us not to do. That's what this does. And so I know most of you decided that, well, I came here because my folks in my district wanted me to come here and cut the budget in Texas. Well, I think that's because you and the folks you represent didn't know much about the budget in the state of Texas. Because if you'd known what the budget in Texas did, 38 cents out of every dollar we spend on public education. That's 38 cents. That's almost half the budget we spend on public education. And then when you look at how much money we actually spend per Texan, then you have to recognize that Texas is not a state where we had a budget that was out of control. And so when you start to cut the budget this time, members, it's, I think I've said this before, but let me say it again because it bears repeating, that all of us go through financial crises. We all go through, we've had our ups and downs, and especially if you're in a business and if you happen to be a lawyer like I have for the last more than 20 years, you have ups and downs. But, you know, during my down years, you know, it boiled down to this. If I had 3 pork chops and 5 kids, I didn't get rid of 2 kids. But that's what this budget does. This budget says, look, we're just going to ignore all of these children that the Constitution of Texas obligates us to educate. And you can do that if you want to. You can do that if you want to. But I guarantee you this, not only will you end up in an Edgewood lawsuit again, but we're going to pay for it in the future. We're going to pay for it because there will be a whole bunch of children who grow up to be adults who we failed to educate. And we failed to educate them because today what we've decided is that we'd rather have money in the bank than education in the classroom. And having education in the classroom today, to me, would be far superior. And so that's why, members, I'm going to go home and tell the people in my district that I voted no on Senate Bill 1811, because I believe that 1811 actually goes backward. It puts Texas backwards. It takes us back to a time when we didn't have to educate everybody. And there's a consequence. There's a consequence to us voting for this bill. There's a consequence to us voting not to pass this bill on. I understand. Somebody told me that means we'll have to come back for a special session. And God knows I don't want to come back here for a special session. My law firm is just about, I'm the last one to get laid off. And that's probably imminent. But the point is that, look, I signed on and came here because I wanted to help not only the people in my district, but the people in Texas.
Mr. Speaker, the gentleman yield.
Yes, I'd be glad to yield, Mr. Speaker.
He yields, Ms. Davis.
Thank you. Chairman Dutton, in this bill, are we requiring businesses to pay taxes in advance?
Yes.
And to the extent we're doing that, we're going to ask them to do something we're not willing to do. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, because what we're doing is we're deferring our payments. We're going to defer our payments, but we're going to require them to pay theirs early.
And in this bill, there's a penalty if they don't. Isn't that correct?
Exactly.
And so we're not only not funding education, not meeting our obligations, we're now going to penalize those who will not pay, who won't pay theirs in advance. Is that correct?
Well, you know, that's I think for the people who vote for this bill, they're going to have to explain that when they get home. I think Chairman Turner yesterday talked about them writing a check. Well, this is an NSF check, members. It's an NSF check because what's going to happen is, I think that in the future, that somehow or another, when you look at Texas in the year 2040, somebody will look back on this day and say, you know what, those educators there, those legislators there, they weren't too concerned about public education. But you know what? You know what's interesting about that? Every member in this House, when they campaign, they talk about how they're going to improve public education. There's not one member in this House that didn't say they were going to campaign, they were going to come here and they were going to improve public education. And I'll bet you not one of them campaigned on the fact that they were going to come here and reduce the spending on public education. I'll bet you there's not a person who did that. And yet today, it's time for you to step up to the plate and acknowledge that, wait a minute, while I may have run on a campaign that I was going to reduce the budget in Texas, I don't intend to do that on the backs of school children. I don't intend to do that on the backs of public school teachers. I don't intend to do it that way. And yet, if you vote for Senate Bill 1811, that's exactly what you're doing. And Mr. Speaker, with that, show me voting no.